from the blackest corners of your mind, they call, pulling you deep into shadow, twisting your senses, keeping you from sleep. It's time to face your darkest fears. This is Tales to Terrify. Good evening, children of the night, and welcome. If you're anything like me, you've been sweltering in the summer heat. I can't complain too much, though. It's been a great excuse to hide away in the darkness of the movie theater and catch up on a few flicks. I have to say, it's been quite nice having some proper chilling tales to watch on the big screen this summer. You know what else is a nice escape from this heat, though? Some horrifying audio tales to chill your bones. You're in luck. We've got a pair for you this evening that's sure to add some ice to your blood. Our first story tonight comes from Spencer Best. Spencer keeps to himself and works from home at a mundane corporate job. In his spare time, which is ample, his intrusive thoughts forcibly fabricate elaborate stories relentlessly until they're indistinguishable from reality. He also likes gardening and going to minor league baseball games. His girlfriend, Rebecca, inexplicably tolerates him. Children of the night, join me for Spencer Best's The Glass Beach, a Tales to Terrify original.
Ginny's twin sister died on a hot July afternoon when she was 10 years old. It was one of those things that everyone blames themselves for, but no one is to blame. They went to the beach, Ginny, her sister, and their parents. Neither Ginny nor her sister had ever been to the beach before. The sand was hot. Ginny's dad said that they melt sand to make glass. As the two girls raced across the beach, yelling and giggling after each step, Ginny wondered if it would ever get so hot that it would turn to glass. The whole beach, all of it. She thought of the sand crabs and seashells and wondered if they'd be petrified beneath the clear surface, like perfectly preserved fossils. She reached the cool, wet band of sand, and her feet sizzled in delight. She turned to her sister to ask what she would think of a glass beach, but her sister wasn't there. Ginny's parents were no more than 50 feet away when her sister disappeared. They were digging a hole in the sand to plant the umbrella. Her dad could get a foot deep with the orange plastic shovel, but with each subsequent scoop, the new depth would be replaced with an avalanche of sand from the top. This circular sand-replacing sand process repeated itself a dozen times before being interrupted by the sound of Ginny's desperate cries for her sister. Everyone searched for 3 days before giving up and waiting for her body to wash up on the shore. Policemen, the canine unit, helicopters, divers, boats, volunteers, even firemen. The fire truck came on the third and final day. Ginny watched the long red truck pull up along the boardwalk. She watched the 6 men climb out and walk the same length of beach 100 others had walked 100 times already. Ginny imagined her sister frozen beneath the glass beach, lying face up, levitating in a sea of emptiness. She pictured the evening tide washing over her sister, distorting her image, yet leaving her dry and unaffected. She saw herself grow old and frail, going to visit her fleeting memory of a twin, still 10 years old, still perfect, like looking at a page in a history book or a mirror reflecting the past. The firemen didn't find her, though. No one did. Days became weeks, and her body never washed onto the shore. They said the sea kept her, which was the polite way of saying the crustaceans picked her apart until she was nothing. 3 months later, Janey's family fled halfway across the country. Her father said that they couldn't move forward in a house with all those memories. Her mother said nothing. Janey thought of the glass beach. They moved west, away from the Atlantic Ocean. They purchased a house in southern Illinois near a tributary of the Mississippi River. Janey was forbidden from ever going near the river, as well as the swimming pool and the bathtub for that matter. The taboo of the water was the very thing that attracted Janey to it shortly after relocating. On one particular Saturday afternoon, Janey rode her bike to the river. She told her mom and dad that she was going to a friend's house. They didn't particularly care. Her dad spent his evenings in the garage, sitting and smoking himself into a better place. Her mom was a piece of furniture in the living room, an inanimate object wirelessly connected to the television. They had, for all practical purposes, given up. They were defeated. Janey got to a remote and rocky portion of the river within a few minutes. It excited her. The feeling of doing something she wasn't supposed to do made her feel more like a real person and less like a perpetual reflection of hurt and guilt. She carefully traversed the boulders and sat on a flat one along the river's edge. She kicked off her sandals and stuck her feet into the cold, frothy current. It was stronger than she expected. It pulled at her legs, and little whirlpools sucked at and flirted with her ankles and toes. She sat alone for a while, thinking about boiling sand and disappearing sisters. Janey made a habit of going to the river each Saturday afternoon, but it wasn't until the third visit that her sister appeared. Janey was sitting on her flat rock, looking down at the water, when she suddenly became aware that she could see her own reflection. But in the current, that didn't make sense. She leaned closer, and the head of her reflection rose up out of the swirling water and smiled at her. Janey wasn't scared or even surprised, though. She'd been waiting, hoping for something like this. She extended her hand to her sister and pulled her out of the water. Janey hugged her icy white body. Her sister smiled again, and they sat down together on the flat rock. Janey asked 1,000 questions, but her sister remained silent, staring and smiling toward the water. Perhaps she just needs a while, Janey thought. When it was time to leave, they both stood. Janey turned toward the shore, and as she did, her sister dove into the water, disappearing entirely. Janey stayed a while longer, watching the current and calling her sister's name. She heard the distant siren of a fire truck, and she was back on the glass beach. She waited a while longer before getting on her bike and riding home. She decided not to tell her parents about the occurrence at the river. She did, however, return the following 2 Saturdays. Her sister appeared each time, sat silently for a few minutes, then disappeared back into the rushing water. Janey grew to like it. It was her own little secret, and she didn't feel so alone. It was on the 7th Saturday that everything changed. Janey and her sister were sitting on the flat rock when the typical silence was broken by the distant sound of Janey's parents shouting her name. They had seen her bike on the side of the road. The shouts quickly became louder as they ran down the dirt path leading to the 2 girls on the flat rock. They would be here soon. They would see the 2 girls and cry and hug and kiss them. Their dad would quit drinking, and their mom would smash the televisions to tiny pieces, and they would live happily ever after. These are the thoughts that raced through Janey's head when her sister pushed her into the river. The current pulled her under and her head struck a rock. A deafening noise like a firework and a blinding burst of light knocked all the thoughts out of her head as the pace of the water swept her ragdoll body away until she disappeared entirely. It was then that Janey's parents appeared and saw their single daughter sitting on the flat rock alone. They cried and hugged and kissed her, making her promise never to go near the water again. Janey's sister smiled and nodded. The 3 of them returned home, a family reborn.
That was Spencer Best's The Glass Beach, as read by Sarah Mehra. Sarah Mehra is a native New Yorker who currently resides much closer to the Mason-Dixon line than she ever thought possible. When not spending time with her husband and 2 teenagers, she can be found listening to horror podcasts or doing yoga to de-stress from listening to horror podcasts and living with 2 teenagers. Thank you, Sarah. Our second tale tonight comes from L.P. Melling. L.P. Melling currently writes from Bedfordshire, UK, after academia and a legal career threw him around the country. A lot of it dark and disturbing, his fiction has appeared in such places as Dark Matter magazine, Flame Tree Press, Fusion Fragment, and some best of anthologies. When not writing, he works as a specialist advisor for a charity. Listen with me, children of the night, to L.P. Melling's The Red Princess Who Was Hidden Underground, first published in Upon a Twice Time by Air and Nothingness Press, May 2021.
Eliana is ripped away from fairy tale dreams as banging rings through Herr and Frau Muller's house. She struggles to breathe. Hidden in a small cellar with Mother, Eliana feels like she is suffocating as the floorboards above creak and the front door opens to the German soldiers. Her eyes adjust to the windowless dark, blacker than night, than extinguished hope. Eliana can feel Mother's eyes staring at her, even though she can't see her. They hold hands, beds inches apart, hoping the soldiers will leave before they find the false bookcase. Through silent tears and greying gloom, Eliana makes out Mother's forefinger pressed against her lips. The 10-year-old girl pinches herself, biting down on the pain. No nightmare this time. She shivers against the autumn cold, against the fear of capture. Eliana pictures the scene above them. The soldiers' black boots, impossibly bright, stealing reflections. Perfectly ironed uniforms, stern faces, eyes burning with hatred and suspicion. Frau Muller's lips quivering the way they do when she whispers about the Nazis. In South Germany, they'll be safer, Papa said. Safer than they had been for years and out of Hitler's reach. The Black Forest's terrain is too difficult for his army. It swallows men and cruelty. The forest's evergreen trees always provide cover. But Papa is no longer here, can no longer protect them, and doubts wriggle through Eliana's mind as her nightdress clings to her cold body. Frau Muller's voice echoes from above, false laughter grating against Eliana's nerves. Eliana could tell Frau Muller didn't like them as soon as they arrived here, that it was Herr Muller's decision to take them in, no matter what Mother says. The scraping of furniture being moved makes Eliana gasp. Mumbled voices, shouting. Papa told her he had put an enchantment on the cellar so that no German officer could find them. She clings onto that now as tightly as she does Papa's tin tobacco box, filled with the miniature fairies he carved for her. It's cold as ice in her hand, but the faint smell of Papa calms her, the sound of his voice coming back to her. Don't worry, Prinzessin. They can never find us. The magic will always keep us hidden and safe. A loud thump from above snatches the memory from her grasp. The rumbling of soldiers' voices follows. The growling of a wolf giving orders. Eliana's heart coils in her chest, her breath trapped. The front door squeaks open again. The sound of stomping feet fades. Eliana's body relaxes. Mother's bed springs breathe out. "It's okay, Shatsi," Mother says, and holds her tight. She strokes Eliana's hair, kisses the top of her head. Between sobs of relief, she says, "They're gone. It's over." Eliana snuggles into Mother's arms. Bone-tired, she imagines magical kingdoms and creatures from her storybooks and slips back into the safety of dreams. The Muller's house sits on the edge of the Black Forest and the world. Always the ageless trees call Eliana to enter and explore the forest's dark secrets. Dying leaves whisper to her, and she snatches glances of its root-riddled boundary in her sleep, almost feels the damp soil against her skin and smells its earthy scent. Eliana aches to walk free of their prison, to unlock the cellar door, pad up the stairs, out through the front door of the house, then to the snaking path that leads to the forest's edge. She wants to feel the shelter of the forest cover, where soldiers fear to tread, where she and Mother can escape from the world of angry men and senseless orders. In her dreams, tree roots are laced with vines, withered like Grandpapa's varicose veins. Blackberries hang dark and heavy and sway in a wind that makes the whole forest creak. There's a haunting whispering between the leaves in a language man has long forgotten. A warning. A warning that Eliana and her mother are in danger. Deep in the forest, Eliana slips over a branch slick with rainwater and falls into a bottomless hole. Bleeding into her dreams, reality sharpens and shreds the last of them as she startles awake. "You and Eliana must leave, Anne. I'm sorry. It's too dangerous now." Eliana hears Frau Muller's hushed voice as she speaks to Mother upstairs. Thin floorboards, the no-man's land which was all that stood between death and safety hours before, unable to conceal Frau Muller's words. "The officers said he is hunting down Jews. A cruelly ambitious-looking man. He could smell something was wrong. I don't know how, but he could. I swear." Frau Muller sighs. "We'll give you a day to prepare." Her voice shakier than Eliana has ever heard it. Eliana is sure Frau Muller is holding her necklace tightly as she does when agitated, the gold cross leaving an impression on her wrinkly palm. Mother is silent for a slice of eternity before she responds. No sunlight reaches this far down in the house, and a chill settles on Eliana's spine. "I understand," Mother says. There is a bravery in her voice, a strength that can defeat 1,000 doubts and 1,000 men, that can lose her husband and parents and show no sign of weakness. "Thank you for letting us stay so long, Frau Muller. Please thank Herr Muller too, when he returns. I don't want to put you and your husband in danger after what you've done for us." The owner of the furniture shops Papa sold his woodwork to, Herr Muller, is warm and kind to Eliana, always smiling, and so unlike his wife. Ragged sobs cut through the gaps in the floorboards, a haunting sound that's not Mother, and Eliana can no longer tell if she dislikes Frau Muller anymore. The ghostly screams of shelling cuts through the night. Thunderous roars follow as the bombs land, and Eliana's stomach turns. She wonders how many more ghosts there will be after tonight, after the war ends, if it ever does. Billions of spirits the world cannot contain. The wind is cold and cutting as Eliana and her mother make their way to the forest. She pulls her red coat tight around her. After an hour of walking, a chill has crept into Eliana's bones and a shiver that makes her teeth ache. For so long, Eliana has dreamed of this moment, to escape Frau Müller and her judging looks, escape the prison of the cellar, but now it seems childish and hollow. The sky is starless, the ground slick with recent rainfall, and she can take no warmth from their freedom. But she tells herself it would be better once they are in the arms of the forest, where Papa's spirit must now live. She can almost hear his voice in the distance. You can do this, Prinzessin. You can. You are stronger than you know. The words die, and she feels empty. Eliana snatches a glance behind her. In the direction of the Muller's house, pinpricks of light stab the dark. Too dim and low for stars, and she wants to believe they're the souls of the dead shining bright, her nerves on edge. Mother sees them too. Come on, Schatzi, hurry, she whispers, too scared to say it aloud in case the wind carries her voice and betrays them. Eliana presses her hand against her chest pocket to quiet the rattling of Papa's tobacco box and the beating of her heart that's so loud she is sure the soldiers will hear it. The night becomes darker as they step beneath the forest's thick canopy. Mother holding her hand tight as she struggles to carry blankets with her other, a small food package wrapped inside, Herr and Frau Müller's final gift to them. The forest is as black as its name. Trees creak, leaves rustle and murmur. But Eliana cannot understand them as she does in her dreams. Cover will protect them, not dreams. She is too old for them now, chastising herself. The world of men is too cruel for childhood fantasies. The forest is alive with nighttime noises, the hooting of owls above, the scurrying of rats below, all distressed by the weapons that cut through their home. Howling like tortured spirits, the wind sweeps through the trees and sends a shiver through Eliana. A creaking to her left, Eliana turns and spots something, as if the forest is guiding her. There, she says, pointing at a dead tree, its roots separated from the earth, rainwater and decay carving a hole to climb down into, providing safety. You first, Schatzi. With Mother's help, Eliana lowers her body into the hole. Hidden underground again, Eliana feels uneasy, and her thoughts fill with fairy tale worlds. Wet against her skin, the earthy smell of soil strong as in her dreams. Letting go of stretched roots, Eliana drops and lands hard on her ankle, bites her lip. The sound of a twig snapping above steals her breath. A warning. They're in danger. The wolf has found them. Kneeling, Mother turns to the noise. Eliana reaches for her, stretching with every part of her body. Mother, quick! A gunshot. The world stops. For a second, Eliana thinks she and Mother are still safe, hiding below ground. Eliana's nightmares descend on her as reality cuts through her insides like shrapnel. Everything is darkness and panic and struggling to climb. But she can't. She can't. Hasn't got the strength to pull herself up, to face the reality. Only Mother's gurgling breath now. I love you, Schatzi. Another gunshot silences Mother for good and tears Eliana's heart apart. Pinned to the ground by the same fear Papa said clamps down the country, that stops good people from fighting back and keeps them quiet, she shivers. Eliana tells herself she's too young to understand it, but she could never understand, no matter how old she lives, she is sure. But not too young to feel the crushing pain of loss. Despite her agony, she pulls herself up, hands gripping the roots until she is able to peer above the ground. At last, Eliana reaches the top, feeling as if the roots have pushed her to the surface, but she still struggles to catch her breath. Tears spill from her eyes as she sees her mother's unmoving body. The sound of the distant Rhine River rushes in her ears. The forest holds its breath. No, she whispers to no one. No! She loses her grip on the vines and reality and falls back down the hole. Branches scratch her face as she rolls, bones juddering, head whirling, and Eliana lands hard, the breath forced out of her. Eliana is broken, lost, and no dreams will save her now. She sobs for minutes and hours, unable to move, unable to get the image of Mother's limp body from her mind. There is no magic to help, she realizes. No fantastical creatures to guide her. She will have to do this herself. And somehow, it gives her strength she didn't know she had. Through the agony, Eliana struggles out of the dead tree roots, gritting her teeth as she stumbles. Her ankle burns. She wipes away crusted blood from her forehead. Her throat craves water. She presses on, pushing the pain from her mind. He's there waiting for her when she surfaces from underground. Mother's murderer, one of the thousands of evil men in the war. As he speaks, she knows he is the officer that came knocking on the Muller's door nights before.
We've been looking for the pair of you for weeks. I knew I'd find you too, you little bitch. I'll be promoted for this.
He holds a handgun of some sort, like one the boys in her class used to memorize. Eliana never cared to learn them. All guns do the same thing, so what does it matter? The officer's face is full of shadows and hate as he smokes a cigar, curls of smoke drifting to the forest's black canopy.
I knew I'd catch you in the end.
Like rats in a trap, he says around the cigar, his acne-scarred face partially illuminated by its glow.
The Black Forest. The end of the world you thought would keep you safe. But there's no safety here for vermin like you. Not in the whole of Germany or the world.
Eliana holds back the tears, refuses to cower, to give him the satisfaction. She holds her ground, head held high, looks him in the eye. It's you who will never feel safe after the war ends, she says, voice even. Uncertainty creeps into his eyes for a moment, and he snarls at her. Fear no longer holds her still, only acceptance. She will now join Papa and Mother in a heavenly kingdom where they don't have to hide anymore, where no one can hurt them. He aims the gun at her chest. The obsession burns in his eyes, which must have burned there since that night, knowing the Mullers were harbouring Jews even if he could not find them. Eliana's heart freezes, fearing for the Mullers. She squeezes her hand into a fist, fingernails biting into her palm, and pictures a golden cross. Mother was right. Frau Muller was only acting that way because she was scared. As scared as Eliana was. Why couldn't she see it before? Why couldn't she appreciate what Frau Müller had done for them? Clicking the gun off its safety, he grins and shoots her. Eliana feels a punch in the chest and is flung back like a rag doll. Her head hits the hard ground. Snowflakes fill her vision. Her head throbs. The wailing scream of shelling pierces the night. Backlit by a flash of light, the reds, yellows, and browns of the forest's canopy bloom, and she pictures her father's face in its intricate patterning. Maybe this is it? A fairy tale? Heaven? And the world fades around her until everything is black. Eliana's eyes snap open. She reaches to her bruised chest and pulls out the damaged tobacco box. There is a hole in the front of it, a dent in the back. She opens the box, hinges hissing, and the bullet and broken remains of dead fairies spill out into the darkness. She spots him, slumped down, a branch sticking through his chest. Dark liquid bubbles from his lips and drips from his chin. Black as wet soil at night. His breath is a baby rattle in his throat. His eyelids droop and flicker, and she wonders what dark dreams disturb him, if they could ever be as dark as hers. The black forest groans around them, as if waking from a long sleep. A sound as deep and old as the earth. The ground shakes, and Eliana's stomach turns. Vines and roots rustle. Leaves and bushes shiver. Shadows stretch and braid together. The commotion snaps the officer out of his dreams. He struggles to move. He tries to scream, but the brambles and nettles fill his mouth, rushing down his throat, pierce through his eyes. The officer's body shakes as he tries to fight against the roots that pin him down, but there are hundreds of them, and although thin and weak, their combined effort defeats him, drag him into the ground, and he is swallowed by the forest. Silence. Eliana is gripped by fear, unable to move. The forest whispers to her again, and this time the words are clear. It's okay, Schatzi. It's over. You're safe now, Prinzessin. You're safe. Eliana stirs from dark dreams, her mouth tasting of war. Jagged pain tells her she's still alive. Her lip bleeds, droplets patting to the ground, soaked up by the black forest's endless roots and black earth. The fire in her ankle is worse as she tries to stand, a ringing in her ears that won't go away. Dark, disturbed soil is the only sign of the officer's death. Like 1,000 other people, he is now buried deep underground. Papa was right about the Black Forest's powers, but it couldn't save everyone. Sobbing, Eliana makes her way back to Mother. She delicately closes Mother's eyes and feels the weight of the forest on her as Eliana kisses her forehead, stroking her jet-black hair. Eliana struggles to pull Mother to the underground sanctuary she was so close to reaching. Forgive me, Mother, she says as she pushes her down the hole, body landing with a terrible thunk as Eliana lets go, hands shaking. She follows her mother down the hole and straightens her body that lies crumpled on its back. Wiping away the tears, Eliana places Papa's broken tobacco box in Mother's hand that's cold as metal. She spots a snow-white vine flower as she turns around. Eliana picks it and puts it in Mother's hair. She weeps.
Mother looks as beautiful as a forest queen in the illustrated fairy tales Papa bought Eliana. Heart heavy as lead, Eliana leaves her mother underground to join her father's spirit. A gift for the forest in a free part of Germany, a safe place where no soldiers or hatred can reach them. Birdsong and morning sunlight filter through the branches above her as she emerges from the hole. The first sunlight she has felt on her skin in months. Eliana silently thanks the Black Forest for saving her and walks deeper into its heart, giving herself to it. Refusing to be hidden underground again, Eliana disappears into the forest, and the leaves whisper to her of long-forgotten tales and of a forest princess's spirit that will live on long after the war is over.
That was L.P. Melling's The Red Princess Who Was Hidden Underground, as read by Janey Napier. Janey Napier is a passionate writer from the south of England. Though her growing love for horror may be a recent thing, she is a certified nerd through and through, and loves anything that gets both her mind turning and adrenaline rushing. Thank you, Janey. Well, children of the night, the hour is late, and we've run out of tales to tell. For now. Tales to Terrify is made possible by the tremendous generosity of our supporters on Patreon and PayPal. Incredible fans like Lestle Baxter, Amanda Carrillo, Amanda Gottfried, and Orion D. Hegre, whose generous support keeps these lights on and flickering ominously. If you're not a supporter, head over to patreon.com/Tales to Terrify. You'll find all kinds of perks, like ad-free episodes, bonus content, and one-of-a-kind collectibles. Every dollar goes back into this show, and we appreciate your support so much. Want another way to support the show that doesn't cost you a cent? Head over to Podchaser, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and drop us a 5-star review. You'll not only put an unnaturally wide smile on our faces, but help new listeners discover our terrifying tales, too. You can show your love of the show out in the world with some Tales to Terrify merch. TalesToTerrify.com/merch will take you to our TeePublic store, where we've got a great collection of creepy custom and curated designs. Tales to Terrify is produced by Seth Williams, Meredith Morgenstern, Andrew Gibson, Crystal Hammond, Spencer Disparty, and myself, Drew Sebastini, with original theme by Nebulous Entertainment. Tales to Terrify is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Join us again next week as we succumb to the airless abyss with more Tales to Terrify.